Hey, so I'm doing a film, a docu-film, on the story behind the original movie of The Ultimate High. It helped me heal and just rise up again, just at a time when I wanted my life back, wanted to get beyond the veneer of the external goings on, because I really felt that there was more that I had lost track of. And the story that came to me actually offered me that realization. And by deciphering it, the ailments and addictions and afflictions just dissolved on their own. And that's over 30 years ago. I've been through a lot more challenging situations, but none of that stuff, that was a different world. None of those things have come back. So yeah, so I am doing the story behind the original story yes, that they tend to identify with, believe that that's who they are, or what happened to them. But there is a deeper story. There's a one story underlying all of creation. And my story, the original story, actually offered me the realization and the marvel and wonderment of it all. And yeah, that's what keeps me contagiously, chemically high all the time. That was the original title too of the original story, The Ultimate High, because that's what it brought. Truth in its fullness. It's really quite wonderful. It's not, oh my God, it's wonderful. It's blissful. It's all occurrences, yes, everything that happens in our life actually offers us the opportunity to shift to realizing that deeper truth of what's going on. That one story of ourselves, the single lie, as I call it now, because it's there. It's the intuitive intelligence behind everything and everyone. Everyone has it. So everything that goes on is actually the means to realign to that and be our own superhero, live our legacy of infinite potential. Yes. My addictions and ailments and afflictions dissolved. What arose was this inner music. So the realization that we are vibrational beings, we're made of music, everything is. Universe that we're of is an incredible symphony of sounds, synchronistically and simultaneously, flowing in the affinity of life. So yeah, the inner music started to arise. Consciously, I was always aware of it. I was always tapping unconsciously to something that I didn't make the connection to. So this time, that started to become very obvious, and that inner music actually became the soundtrack of the original movie. So that was pretty cool. Now it's just the epiphany riffs and rhapsodies that come up that I do that are on TikTok under my full name specifically. And I did do a full-length music video entitled Where We Go From Here in 2017. Same thing. It was just the improv of all these sounds that came out, and I put music to it, but it's really just the tunes that come up on their own. They're all there. We're all made of music. Although that story helped me originally, I thought it was just for myself, but I realized that it's just a model that allows anybody to get to their own inner wisdom, true beingness, healing, innovation, and especially just the way things have happened in the last few years with the pandemic and such. It's important to take responsibility, find that inner power, inner grace to heal on one's own instead of depending on someone else to do it for one, which is what? It's powerlessness, isn't it? So, yeah, that's the main reason I'm doing it. And because it's so simple and so beautiful and so visual. So incorporating all of those aspects, yeah, it'll be pretty incredible just to be able to tell that story. How if we shift perception, we shift our reality and shift our world. So those are pretty powerful aspects of what we can do just by that one shift. So realizing the importance of it and being able to experience that, if I can just allow people to realize that, that's pretty profound in itself, let alone the model that worked for me. So shift perception, we're on. Shift reality, shift your world, shift how you move through the world. And yeah, it all starts within, and it's just one effortless, seamless motion that anyone can do. Everyone does do it anyway, it's just that they're not aware of it. So it's really taking the precision into it, being able to shift perception, shift reality, shift one's The original story takes place in imagination, yet it's a place that's real. So it's one of those real kind of dreamlike situations. So the place that it's to be filmed at actually has turned into a ruins now. It's sort of a half-built castle that never got finished, and it's being able to incorporate the past and the present the way it looks into the storyline, because it's all part of it. It has the original bones, so to say, of being able to walk through in the steeple and just the different rooms and in imagination, yet just like we do in a house, right? We walk from room to room, and it's like the shifting states. We're in one state in one room, and perhaps in another room, depending what has crossed our mind. So yeah, being able to utilize that is pretty incredible. If after going through a lot of other different things that most people would resort back to their addictions, and nothing happened, it was like a different world, that's possible for anyone. It's just a matter of realigning back to what we essentially all have, the resources within us. It's just that we lose track by submitting to the external compliance of the world, the families, the world, social constructs, conditionings, and we lose track of that inner sense of what's right for us, innately know what that is, but it's all there. It's just like the plants. Nobody has to tell them how to grow. They already have that innate knowing within themselves. So the story, right? Yes, of course, behind the story that allowed me to find that, get back to that inner knowing, reclaim it, realize that that is what I am at the core. The story in itself was like all the things that happened, just like everybody else's story. All of those are preparations for being able to get back to oneself, one's true nature. So as we have the inner technology innately within us to guide us, we sort of know what's right and what's wrong within us, right? So that's the inner technology I'm talking about. And that actually permeates all through our body. It becomes chemicalized, alchemicalized, biochemicalized as our physiology. And we don't realize we have shifted, things have changed because we're in a different world just by shifting perception. So yeah, those are parts of the innovations that have come out of the story, and yeah, so that's another part of what I am addressing here in the docuseries is how everything does serve a purpose. Everything does lead us to question the reality of things, what we're about, what we are. If that's not where people are at, well, that's fine too, but eventually they probably will be, because that's where everything leads to. So there's an incredible order, precision, symmetry to everything that's going on. And just to realize that's incredible. That's, once again, just an incredible chemical high, contagious chemical high is the immunity of our system. It's what propels us into our potential, because nothing is against us. Everything's for us. Everything works for us. Yes. My documentary shows how there's stages that we go through to arrive at questioning, dissatisfaction with the way things are going on in our life. So yeah, the different stages that necessarily come about, although they're sort of self-contained, they're all there at once, but they unfold. There's an unfolding process, a blossoming, if you wish, that is naturally there, just like with the flowers and the plants. Everything, as much as the potential is there, there's stages that it goes through in the unfolding. So all that's ever happened in the world, as much as it's looped and cycled and through wars and peace and wars, it's the idea of separation that propels into those ways of dealing with enemies, and as long as there's another, we're always going to have that. So it's realizing that everything's interconnected. Everything is part of everything else. We're all in this together. Once that realization is chemicalized within oneself, then we can interact differently, be different with each other, be different within ourselves. Come from that inner knowing that everything is interconnected, one, whole. And that's where our peace and our wholeness, our healing is just another word for expressing our wholeness. It comes from the same root. And essentially that's what it's going to take for us to heal naturally. That's what it took for me. And I don't think I'm too different from anybody else in that process of coming to those realizations. I really gave into the world, into all the things that are supposed to make me happy, because I was told happiness comes from outside, whether it's through another person, a job, a home, financial abundance. All of those are external things that eventually, if one goes through all of that, comes to question them, because you can have them all and yet there's still something missing. So what is that? Being able to really take a reality check as to what it's really all about. And as we question, we start to find out things aren't as they seem. But once again, the truth does set us free. But first of all, it sort of pisses us off because it's not what we've been told is the truth. It's just the way the world has worked up till now. And obviously that's really shifting and changing and falling apart. So as we can stand still in that knowingness within us, we start to see other possibilities. Other innovations come about that haven't been given attention to because things were running on normal, cycling through the process of the way things have been normally. So all of that is now being questioned, or is allowed, is on the table per se, to be questioned. And where all of that takes us is into a new world, because as we shift perception, shift reality, shift our world, it is a different world. Everything changes as we interact differently between each other. That ricochets into everything else. So we are creating a new world, but it's the world that essentially is here for us to bring forth anyway. It's very exciting. So this is the back end of the story that allowed me to discover all of those wonderful realizations and revelations. So it's a wonderful preparation to be able to step into that inner world of imagination. We have the greatest nation within us each, and that's our imagination. And it's time to really give it the credence that it deserves, because that's where it all starts. As we imagine, so we give it the attention, the feeling, so it becomes that, it extends of us. Yeah. Cheers.